Hello, this is a short video to illustrate the CS1 game engine in its current early state, and we'll show a little bit of the multiplayer functionality as well.
Welcome to CS1 Agency Headquarters. The question of whether a computer can think is no more interesting than the question of whether a submarine can swim. Edgar W. Dijkstra.
Okay, wondering what this rectangle is here in front of me. It's actually a very early rendition of what's going to be what I think is an interesting aspect to the engine. I'm going to make an interface that will make it nice and easy to illustrate data and kind of gamify it. I mean, you could, of course, use this in serious applications as well. But this is, interestingly enough, if I go up and grab this, on the left-hand side, it's showing today, right now, and on the right-hand side, it's showing 5 days from now. And every single vertical stripe that you see is actually representative of the predicted or predicted average or no, predicted high temperature for each successive 3-hour period. So we can see if we look here, this is actually going to be tonight. Right now it's kind of this light green, and it's going to go into yellow as it cools off tonight, and then to a little bit of a light pink. And then it will go into yellow in the morning. It will warm up a little bit into the greens here tomorrow. And then tomorrow evening it'll go down into yellow, and then tomorrow night it's going to be going down into these reds, a little colder. And then on Wednesday it'll heat up into these greens. Wednesday night, not as cool. Thursday and Thursday night are fairly warm straight on through, predicted. And Thursday night to Friday night and so forth. So we're just looking at, I did this with a basic 2D graphic context on the canvas. I'm going to actually be using some nice integrations of the D3 engine for a lot more interesting graphical representations of data and pull in some fairly big data. I thought this is interesting in multiplayer mode. If you're grabbing this or real close to it, if you have your cursor on it and you're close enough, it will show you the data representation. Otherwise, if you're farther away, if I back up, it obfuscates the data, kind of doing this pattern. I thought that's pretty interesting. I thought if you could have a game where people have to maybe run around with some data visualization and do something based on it and then move on. Anyway, it's just one little aspect that I thought I'd bring up. Okay, so this is right here a little shader that was put together in ShaderFrog, a nice little online IDE for building shaders, and I made a nice way to bring in ShaderFrog shaders into the CS1 game engine. That's part of the game engine. I can collect this. I also have collectible system, and I can apply basically different attributes to these objects, if you will. I can make them collectible as well as grabbable. So this is collectible and grabbable, and assign various kind of effects if you collect them. So this one right here, let's see. That one there also is doing a particle effect when I collect it. And it gave me a little bit of points, gave me 5 points. This one right here gave me 20 energy units, which are kind of gratuitously applied at this point. Here is that same shader again. Maybe it's 5 points again, another 5 points. Maybe some more energy and more points. And over here, this is interesting. This is just illustrating another shader from ShaderFrog is used on this cube, but I'm also going to illustrate a post-processing effect, a glitch effect when you go into this. So it's illustrating a glitch effect, which could be used to illustrate taking damage or something along that lines. These are some other shaders from ShaderFrog illustrating the ability to bring in vertex shaders that actually change the geometry, morph the geometry, if you will. So I'm going to collect these, and they're affecting the magic level, it looks like there. The magic level is going up, and so forth. Alright, so up to full magic. Again, doesn't really have any meaning yet, not able to use it. But I'm awfully low on oxygen. I hope these little kaleidoscope, notice that the texture on these little kaleidoscope things that give me oxygen, the texture is actually changing over time. It's actually a fractal that's running in the GPU, and it's sending an update every so often to the CPU, where it's getting passed over to the DOM. It's actually getting passed specifically into the main game canvas, main game engine. Okay, so collect that. Got some more oxygen, a little bit more oxygen. I just stuck a little picture on the wall here to kind of illustrate again, this is very quickly put together, and that's to illustrate kind of like where you spawn in with the elevator. And let's just illustrate the spawning. So I'll have another character kind of come in here. So I'll just click over here.
Admin has joined the game. Welcome to CS1 Agency Headquarters. The question of whether a computer can think is no more interesting than the question of whether a submarine can swim. Edgar W. Dykstra.
Okay, so there we are. We can see the multiplayer aspect. I haven't implemented the chat like I have in previous engines that I've made. At this point, it literally just takes the name of the character, kind of like the login name, and that's what renders in the text above the character. But it's really easy to bring in other models and animate them. Currently, I don't have anything other than just kind of grabbing the idle animation. I'm going to make a player abstraction and work on that, where you can actually change nicely the animation based on what's reasonable to have at a particular time. Maybe I'll go look for that character, go around the maze here and see if it's over where I expect it to be. And there it is. Okay. So I've had this, this is actually running on Glitch, and I love Glitch is a great place to kind of practice with my students and to give kind of little talks from where people can remix and so forth. But I've had people from 5 different countries on the engine so far that have all been able to connect with their sockets, persistent, and it seems to be pretty good in terms of the network. I kind of drop you like I drop you really quick. Actually, I don't try to reestablish the socket connection. So when a player leaves, which I'll show you here in a moment, if a player leaves, we end up with a kind of like you left the building kind of thing. So let me just do that. Let me go over here and go back, and let me leave and let you hear that.
Amal has departed the complex.
Okay, so that's pretty much what we have so far, at least a basic overview of it.